The next step in the pricing process checklist is finding the value of the home based on recent sales. Now we do that using a thing called Scattergram Pricing. Scattergram Pricing is a key graph and a powerful tool in the Focus First software. It really allows us to understand and figure out what the value is, which is different than market value. Helps us really know the value pricing factors and really helps us find things. So this video, we're going to talk about first what the difference between value and market value is, figuring out how to look at the pricing factors, and then using the software to create a base scattergram, to think our way through adding more to the graph, to really use the scattergram graph options to find the true value of the home, and then talk about how that goes in the next step. Okay, so as I go into the program here, let me first just right off the bat explain that value is what the home is based on recent sales. Market value is what the actual price of the home will be based on what buyers are willing to pay for it. Now, value, theoretically, we're trying to find as close as possible to market value as we can. But looking at historical sales doesn't necessarily say what the market is doing today, which will be in a later step. So let's show you how to find that value so that you can then use that to trigger the next actions we'll do in the pricing process checklist to find that market value. So jumping into the program, we're picking right where we left off in the last video. We've already uploaded the data and looked at the patterns. Now we're moving to the pricing button right here. By clicking this, you'll see what we call the Mls Data Sheet. This is all the information that we uploaded from that search. Now you can see right off the bat, only a certain number of them are actually selected over here on the left to be added to the scattergram. This is done automatically for you, and the standard is to search the last 6 months of sold data. Now, if you have too much information, let's say 50 homes are showing up in that search, the program will automatically scale it down for you to maybe 3 months or even faster than that if you have that much information. The goal here is really kind of in that 7 to 10 range as far as homes that are comparable, so we can have a really accurate look, but not too much data that causes confusion. So the base scattergram is automatically made for you, so let's take a look at that. In order to open that up, we're going to click on this PRCgram or pricing scattergram right here. You can see the basic scattergram that's made for us. Now in this case, it's a pretty beautiful scattergram. There was this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots, and overall a very good trend line. So in this case, we really wouldn't have to do anything to change that. Now, if there were a bunch more dots on here, there are some things that we do recommend doing. First, we click on pricing to go back to the Mls Data Sheet, and you can see that these are the ones that are selected. Now you can see that there's 2-story homes, 4-level, and a ranch. In many cases, you want to just look at all ranches or all 2 stories if you have too much data. That's the first step you really want to do is kind of cut out the properties that have a different layout, because there are many buyers that only want to buy ranches and many buyers that only want to buy 2 stories. And so because of that, you can really see a dividing line there. But in this case, you don't have to do that. So the next step that you're going to want to do to help you find the value is you want to look at the properties that land on the fair market value line, which is this trend line right here, that are close to your subject property square footage, and any properties of these blue dots that are really far away from the line. So for this example, let's just go ahead and imagine we're going to be around the 3,500 as far as square footage goes. So looking through here, right around the 3,500, you can see these are going to be the 2 dots we're going to look at. We're going to look at these properties more intensely and find those listings and figure out what's different about those. What do they have? What are their descriptions? Do they have the granite countertops? Are they 2 or 3 car garage? How big is their lot size? All the comparables you would normally look at. Now you're going to look at that for just those 2, and then this one here seems way above the line, so what's the difference? Now you're going to read the MLS sheets, you're going to look at some of the data you can, and try and figure that out. Now I already did that for this example, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, the one that's way above the line here has a fully fenced yard, completely updated interior, nicer kitchen appliances than standard, and has a completely finished basement, which is why it's so far above the line. This one here, that's below the line, does not have a fully fenced yard, unfinished basement, and has standard appliances. Now this one has a fully fenced yard, they all have 3-car garages, and has standard appliances, doesn't have a finished basement. So really this one's down below the line because of that lack of a fenced yard. It's kind of what it looks like from the base data. But this gives us a good thought process about our customer's property. So if we're looking at that, we're thinking we're around here, somewhere around this 490 range, maybe a little higher, maybe this is 495, maybe stretching to 5, we'll be up here. Now, in this case, the customer's home we're looking at might not match all these things. Let's say that they have a finished yard, but they have a 2-car garage. Now, imagine they might be below the line, right? So in this case, though, we're finding this value that's going to be somewhere in this range of, let's just say, the 490. Now, on this graph, it's very easy to see the property's price and the square foot right now. But as I'm telling you these things, like this has a finished basement, this one doesn't have a fenced yard, this has a fenced yard, but they all have 3-car garages. We want to make sure we include the key special features, key conditions, and key amenities that really make the difference that we're seeing between homes on this graph. Now, in order to do that, we're going to do that back in the pricing tab. So go to pricing button here, and these are the ones that are selected right here. Now, the way that we're going to do this is we're going to look at the text boxes for these ones that we want to look at. So we're going to go create graph options. Oops, let me go back really fast actually. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to select all these boxes here and just click select properties. That will add this text box to the graph. Now we're going to create graph options, create graph, and then in the text box on this options here on the right, let's go ahead and have the address, the style, the acreage, bedroom, bathroom, garages, and get rid of the year build. Okay, now when I create this graph, I'm going to keep both just so you can see the difference. We now have a graph with a bunch of little boxes on it that weren't there before. These are made pretty easily for you. Now what we can do is you can go and click here. Now make sure you click twice, by the way. It makes you click twice. But click twice, we can drag the ones that we want to look at to areas where we can read the boxes easily, and these little leader lines are going to go to them. And the ones we don't want, I'm just going to click on, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the ones that we do not necessarily need as far as dots go. Now, we could do this as well in the data sheet, and that's not that difficult of a thing to do. You just hover your mouse over one of these dots, and you can see that it says 3342 is the total square footage. So I could go back to here, find the one that says 3342 here, and then I've only selected that box. But in this case, just for the interest of this video, I selected them all so I can show you that you can click drag and click delete. Now you can see here, it has some basic information, but to add the things we want to add, I'm going to go ahead and click in the box and put in finished basement and fenced yard. This one here, we're going to go ahead and put, actually leave that one blank, and then this one I'm going to say fenced yard. So we can clearly see that this is the situation we're at. Now, we now know when we're talking to our customer, what was the characteristics that were different about these that made them really stand out. So now that we know that, and now we can talk to the customer and discuss all the factors of price, size, special features and condition, and the amenities, since they're the same neighborhood, should be about the same. Now that we've seen this, now we can discuss find the value, but we don't stop there. We've now reached the end of this step, which is using Scattergraph options and finding the value of the home. But we're not going to stop there, because now we're going to go on to the next step in the pricing process checklist and talk about the buyer's eyes and the competitive range.